All right. What else is there? Well, this is what I'm looking at. Historic buying zone. So I saw this article on CoinDesk talking about how Bitcoin traders' outlook is so bleak that some see it as a buying opportunity, right? Well, that makes sense. When everyone is panicking, when there's blood in the streets, right? That's usually when you want to buy. But this is what's interesting. If you look at right now, Bitcoin at 20,000 is below its 200 weekly moving average, which historically speaking, there only 4 times before this has happened. And look at the times afterwards. Okay, after let me see if I can zoom in here. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. Take a look. So twice in 2015, once in 2018, and one in 2020. Okay, so obviously 2015, Bitcoin was much smaller, 175, 217. But look at it, right? After it broke below the 200 weekly moving average, guess what happened? 1 month later, 3 months later, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, boom, like straight up to the moon. Happened in 2018 too. Happened in 2018. Look at the returns after 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. And then in 2020, remember that horrible COVID crash, right? Look at what followed behind. If you're one of those that panic sold when Bitcoin fell below 4,000, right, or 5,000, wherever it may be, look at the returns you would have missed afterwards, right? This is why it's important to have patience, right? Because sometimes, yes, very bad moments happen. Lots of volatility, especially now, right? We're seeing a lot of it. But this is why you don't want to miss out. Because if you miss out when the market recovers and gets back up, you're going to be really regretting it, right? So we are right now below the 200 weekly moving average. So historically speaking, this is the buy time. This is the buy zone that you want to be stacking sats, right? Now, I'm sure if you look at some of these periods, maybe Bitcoin was below the 200 weekly moving average for a while. It could have been days, weeks. There could have been more volatility. There could have been more downswings, right? Like if you look at March of 2020, this shows 4,900, but Bitcoin did go down to 3,800. It did go down more, right? So near term, there could be more volatility. There's no guarantee that 17,000 or whatever, 20,000 where we are is the absolute bottom. There could be more downside, right? But if you're playing the long game, if you're looking at 3 months, 6 months, year, 2 years out, 5 years out, what you want to do is you traditionally buy when there's certain panic periods that pretty much scares everyone out of the market, right? And when that happens, that's usually when you want to pounce. And we're in one of those moments right now, right? So very interesting. Trust in crypto remains strong despite bear market. Not a surprise. Obviously, if you're surveying Bitcoin people, they're gonna say they're not bearish, right? Holders continue to hold. They know it's the future, right? And why would you give up now? There's no reason to be giving up right now. This measures Bitcoin Lightning capacity. You can see that blue line just going up and up and up and up, right? This actually I want to bring up as a later point with Vitalik, but I did want to show you guys that real quick. There's a lot of charts. You could see that as measuring Bitcoin's bottom, right? How a reversal is imminent. There's so many of these. But this one is very important. This one actually shows like the retail investors. It kind of measures retail investors. And what's interesting is it does seem like the retail investors that's in the market now have changed, have become smarter. Because you could see the last time you had a big spike, which indicates a huge kind of like FOMO of retail investors, that was at the peak of 2017, right? But now look at it. You see a huge influx of new people in the space, and it's happening towards the bottom. This is what we want, right? We don't want everyone to be FOMOing in at top. We want people to FOMO in at the bottom, right? And that is what this is showing right now. So that's fantastic. Fantastic. These people, and many of you guys that have bought toward the bottom or at bottom, right, will be rewarded later on. So that's really interesting. Really interesting. But overall, network-wise, health-wise for Bitcoin continues to be strong. And you could argue the strongest ever if you're measuring a lot of these things like hash rate and addresses and holders and everything else. So still looking good, guys. Still looking good. With all that said, I know I'm starting out pretty gloomy and doomy, but you know what? That's why my thumbnail shows Bitcoin in the center of the turbulence, in the center of the storm. Because even though short term, you know, it may look bad for everything, for not just crypto, but for economies, for stocks, for everything out there, right? Bitcoin is the one that you can't hold down for a long time. Bitcoin weathers the storm. Bitcoin is the light at the end of the tunnel, which is why 62% of Bitcoin holders did not sell any Bitcoin for at least 1 year. 62%. You think about that. That's an enormous amount of holders that are staying strong and saying, why would I be selling right now? Bitcoin is the future. Bitcoin is the way, right? So anything that's measurable in terms of strength of Bitcoin's addresses or network, I should say, and the strength of holders, and those things have not changed. So 62% have not sold in 1 year. The number of hodled or lost coins, the ones that basically have not moved for a very, very, very long time, is now at a 21-month high of 7.5 million. That's an enormous amount, okay, of the overall circulating supply, especially if you take into account how much has actually been lost, which we can't verify 100%, but there's only been 19 million that's been mined, and up to 5, 6, 7 million is lost, right? So then you look at, well, what's remaining? Very, very little. That's what's happening. Bitcoin holders are strong, and they're not going to go away, right? So despite all the things that we're facing today, we will get through it. And the holders know that, which is why the metrics that show Bitcoin's strength, its adoption, its everything, its hash rate. I don't have all the charts with me today, but you guys know I've been showing those a lot. Those are all still moving in the right direction. If you're looking to buy Bitcoin and crypto for the first time and you don't know where to get started, head over to CryptosRus.com and click on the best exchange guide. Within, you'll find a list of exchanges that I recommend and some that I use on a daily basis. If you are outside the US, I highly recommend looking at Binance.com first. They are the biggest exchange out there, supported in almost every single country. They have a fantastic fiat on-ramp, off-ramp system. They offer the most trading pairs and the lowest fees in the industry. You could also download a mobile app onto your Android and Apple device very easily. If you are in the US, I recommend taking a look at the sister company of Binance, Binance.us, which offers all of these things and more. So if you want to learn more, head over to CryptosRus.com or utilize the links in the description of this video.